and counting the Levites. So let's just jump straight in. Give me a second. I'm just going to knock out the background noise. Okay. If you want to jump in, feel free to unmute at any point in time. Okay. Numbers chapter 3. Here we go. Take a look. We had just counted the other tribes. Now we talk about the Levites. These are the descendants of Aaron and Moses on the day that the Lord spoke to Moses at Sinai. So look, the Torah is giving us a bit of a family tree, a genealogy. I remember back in the day when we used to meet in person, and we had it was a joke. Well, maybe not a joke. And we had an event, a Jewish genealogy workshop, which was so fantastic. A woman who is a genealogical expert, she came and spoke about how to go about researching family and tracing, using different resources online, digital resources, websites. Okay, the Torah here is giving us a little bit of the genealogy or family tree of the Levite family and the Kohanim, the priests. So take a look. These are the descendants of Aaron and Moses. By the way, I want to keep that highlighted because I'm going to ask a question soon. On the day that the Lord spoke to Moses, Sinai, good. These are the names of the sons of Aaron. Nadab the firstborn, Abihu the second, Elazar, and Itamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron. Aaron had 4 sons, the anointed Kohanim, whom he consecrated to serve as Kohanim. So again, the Torah is just telling us kind of a recap. Aaron and Aaron's children, they were the priests. That's what their job was. Now, you and I know this because we studied this together. Verse number 4. The Torah kind of reminds us. Nadab and Abihu, they were the ones who died before the Lord when they brought foreign fire, before the Lord in the Sinai desert, and they had no children. Elazar and Itamar, however, served as Kohanim in the presence of Aaron, their father. So the Torah is just reminding us that the eldest 2 sons of Aaron passed away. Tragically, the younger 2 sons survived, and they served as Kohanim, as priests, alongside their father, Aaron. Let's continue. By the way, there's a question that's already brewing, which I'm going to ask in a moment and share an insight, but let's continue because that will really highlight the question. Then, at this point, the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, bring forth the tribe of Levi, the Levites, and present them before Aaron the Kohen, that they may serve him. They shall keep his charge and the charge of the entire community before the tent of meeting to perform the service of the Mishkan. Their job is to help facilitate the tabernacle service. They shall take charge, verse 8, of all the vessels of the tent of meeting and the charge of the children of Israel to perform the service of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. You shall give over the Levites to Aaron and his sons. In other words, the Levites work for the Kohanim in a sense. I mean, they work for God, obviously, but the Kohanim in the hierarchy, it's Kohen Levi and then Yisrael. So the Levites, although they were making the tabernacle run, they were setting it up, taking it down, transporting it, doing other things. But ultimately, the Kohanim were the highest rung, if you will, of that tabernacle ladder, if you will. You shall appoint. So again, give over the Levites to Aaron. They shall be wholly given over to him for the children of Israel. You shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall keep their kahuna. Kahuna means priesthood. So keep it. Watch it. Be careful. Any outsider, non-Kohen, who approaches the tabernacle shall be put to death. Not just the tabernacle, but the sacred spaces were only, there was yellow tape, Kohen only, past this point. So a non-Kohen would go there, no good. And by the way, you and I already know this, and we've already referenced it today, that even a Kohen, beyond a certain point, even a Kohen wasn't allowed to go. Only the high priest on the Holy of Holies, on the day of Yom Kippur. The sons of Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, they died, according to our understanding, they went into that space that even the regular Kohanim are not allowed to go. They went into the Holy of Holies, and that was at least one understanding of what they did that led to their death. Okay, let's just finish it off. It was 13 verses, might as well read it, and then I'm going to share the insights. Okay, verse 11, once again, God speaks to Moses, and then he says the last 2 verses, as for me, God says, by the way, this is where I'm holding. I've taken the Levites from among the children of Israel in place of all firstborns among the children of Israel who have opened the womb, and the Levites shall be mine. Basically, God's saying that, I'm going to explain this also, don't worry, but just to understand, basically, God says instead of the firstborn, being the ones who serve in the temple or in the tabernacle, I've taken instead the tribe of Levi. I'm going to explain why soon. For all the firstborns are mine. Since the day I smote all the firstborns in the land of Egypt, I sanctify for myself all the firstborns of Israel. Both man and beast, they shall become mine. I am the Lord. God says, remember in Egypt, I eliminated the Egyptian firstborn and spared the Jewish firstborn. Therefore, the firstborn owe me their lives, the Jewish firstborn, and therefore they are to be taken into service. But instead of the firstborn, that's what should have happened. But what really did happen is the Levites shall be mine. The Levites took the place of the firstborn. Why? Hold the thought, hold the question. We're going to go through a bunch of themes now. We read it, let's discuss. Okay, number one. As the Torah was giving the family tree, you may have noticed that it says these are the descendants of Aaron and Moses. And you also may have noticed that the only children that we talked about were the sons of Aaron. Did you notice that? We talked about, here's the kids of Aaron and Moses, and the sons of Aaron are, boom, no mention of Moses' family. What happened? We're introducing a family tree, and we only gave half of it. So when you read it, and you pay attention to the reading, it's a question that just like jumps out at you. Aaron and Moses. Aaron, where's Moses? Yeah, God speaks to Moses about the Levites, but what about Moses' family? These are the descendants of Aaron and Moses. This prompts our sages to tell us the most mind-blowing idea. And I need to take a half a step back. There are no mistakes in Torah. You know, some people would read this and say, yeah, the editors did a bad job. They forgot they wrote Aaron and Moses and only listed Aaron's family. They made a mistake. Come on. Give the Torah a little bit more credit. There's a beautiful insight here. The Talmud says, Medrash says, Rashi says in his commentary, maybe I'll toggle it in a minute, but it's simple enough that I can share it outside. Moses, his biological children aren't mentioned. Aaron's children are mentioned. Why? To teach us that Aaron's children were also Moses' children. It says, these are the descendants of Aaron and Moses, and only lists Aaron's biological children. You know why? Because Aaron's children, these guys, were also Moses' children. What does that mean? Moses taught them Torah. And our sages tell us, if you educate, if you guide, if you mentor someone else's children, not only your own family, anyone else, you are their spiritual or inspirational parent. That's the message. How beautiful. There are biological children and parents, and then there are spiritual or inspirational children and parents. And so this is a beautiful message for educators, for mentors, for anybody who is there for someone else. And it's not only about children, it's about anybody. When we guide someone else, it's not a small thing that's happening, it's a very big thing that's happening. And the Torah says that just like a parent and a child has a close relationship, and the child like owes their life in a sense, well, in every sense, to the parent is only... So the same thing is true when somebody inspires, teaches, guides, mentors someone else. They are given life and vitality through you, through the mentor, through the educator, through the teacher, the volunteer, whatever. That's a powerful idea. So never underestimate the power of teaching. Never underestimate the power of guiding. The way Rashi puts it, look at Rashi. I just toggled Rashi right here. I love how Rashi writes. Rashi comments on the verse itself. So these are the descendants of Moses and Aaron. Rashi points out, yet only the sons of Aaron are mentioned. What's going on? However, they are considered descendants of Moses because he taught them Torah. This teaches us that whoever teaches Torah to the son of his fellow man, Scripture regards it as if he had begotten him. In other words, given birth to him. Again, if you inspire someone else, you've given them life. Inspiration is life itself. So there's physical life, but I'll tell you this. I think in the world that we live in, it's easier to give physical life than to give inspirational life sometimes. It's easy to... The biology is fairly easy. I say easy. I mean, it's fairly straightforward. But to be a mentor, a guide, and it could be for our own kids also. It's not exclusive to someone else. The point is that sharing guidance and life wisdom Torah wisdom is critically important. Okay, let's keep it moving. And let's talk about the next little bit. Where it says like this. It says here in verse number 6, bring forth the tribe of Levi and present them before Aaron the Kohen, that they may serve him. Again, there were the priests and the Levites. The Levites were facilitating, helping out at the direction of the Kohanim, the priests. The Medrash assigns the verse from Psalms to this discussion. The Medrash says on this verse that this is the meaning of the verse from Psalms when it says, Tzadik katamar yifrach. The righteous blossoms like a tamar, like a date palm. Yeah, like a date palm tree. Familiar with a date palm tree? Yeah. Do we have date palms here in Atlanta? I don't know if we do. In Florida, there's a lot of palm trees. I don't know if they're date palms or other sorts of palms. I'm not an expert in these things. I know there's a lot of palm trees, certainly. And by the way, life hack. I spent a year in yeshiva in Miami. Actually, the yeshiva was in South Beach, which is a very interesting place to have a yeshiva. But that's for another time, another discussion. I remember on Sukkot, the holiday of Sukkot, the palm fronds are really fantastic to use for schach, for your sukkah covering. They cover like a large area. They're very super lightweight. You throw them on there. It's gorgeous. It's green. Anyway, that's just some good memories from my time in South Florida. Getting back to palm trees or date palm trees. The psalmist, King David, writes, Tzadik katamar yifrach, the righteous one, blossoms, sprouts forth like a palm tree. Ke'erez balvanon yiskeh, stands up upright like a cedar in Lebanon. But that's not, the second half of the verse is not what is referred to in what the Medrash ascribes to the Levites. The Levites and the Kohanim are referenced with the first half of the verse like a date palm. So I want to share with you a mystical insight into the difference between the two halves of the verse. What's the difference between a date palm tree and a cedar tree? What's the difference? First of all, please unmute yourself if you're familiar with these trees. Yes? Or raise your hand. Yes?
Yeah, the palm tree sways and the cedars.
Good. Which is taller? Which is taller?
The cedar?
The cedar. The cedar is tall and straight up. It goes straight up and it represents, someone who's righteous and does everything right and grows vertically, vertical growth. It's beautiful. It's very righteous. But even greater, again, we're speaking like by way of analogy and parable, but even greater actually is the date palm tree. It doesn't grow as tall, and it's a little bit, side to side. But you know what it does? Unlike the cedar tree, it provides food. It provides fruit to eat. That represents a tzaddik, a person who's not so completely consumed about their own vertical self-growth, but is also very interested in being a blessing to others. This ties in nicely to the point that I mentioned before. It's one thing to self-study. Moses could have kept the Torah for himself. I got the Torah, I'm going to study, I'm going to grow myself. But that's not what it's all about. It's not only about self. It's about being a blessing to others. It's about sharing with others. If you know something, share it with someone else. The famous Chabad saying is, if you know an aleph, teach an aleph. I mean, like literally the letter. You don't have to be the greatest scholar, well-versed in the entire Torah to start teaching someone else. If you know an aleph, teach an aleph. If you know a bet, teach a bet. Whatever you know, you can share and you can be a blessing. So what is the role, based on this insight, what is the role of the Levites and the Kohanim? They are meant to perform the service of the Mishkan. They are meant to be a blessing to the children of Israel. Right? I'm highlighting various verses. They're meant to be a date palm tree, not a cedar tree. Cedar trees, again, my apologies to the actual tree because I don't mean the actual tree, but I mean the symbolism. Cedar trees are selfish. Again, euphemistically. They're selfish. It's all about self-growth, and I'm not getting involved with anyone else. I'm going to grow up. I'm going to grow up vertically straight and focus on self. And that might be wonderful, and the person might be a wonderful tzaddik and, untouchable and fantastic. But what blessing have they given to others? Other than maybe a good role model, but what blessing have they turned to others at the expense of their own growth? Have they stopped, bent down, and shared with someone else? That's the true mark of the righteousness of the Levite and the Kohen. They were not put in these high positions to become spiritual giants, isolated, away from the community. They were meant to serve the community and be a blessing and an inspiration for others. This is, I want to say this, if you want to know one of the major philosophies of Chabad, as a movement, the Rebbe instilled in the Chabad, in the very blood of the Chabad movement, this notion of it's not about you. Don't make it all about yourself. Yes, you can study in yeshiva all day and night for 50 years, and that's wonderful, and you're learning a lot of Torah, and God loves it. But what about the other person? Think about someone else. The Rebbe instituted a revolutionary notion. Every Friday, I may have mentioned this in a recent class, last night actually, the Rebbe came up with a revolutionary idea. Every Friday, the yeshiva students should step out of the yeshiva and go out into the community and share Torah with the community, share a mitzvah with the community. This becomes the forerunner for the mitzvah campaigns that the Rebbe inspired. Hit the streets of Manhattan. You're in New York and yeshiva in Brooklyn? Wonderful. Take the subway, close your Talmud, close your books, get on the subway, go to Manhattan, go to Times Square, make a lot of noise in a good way, and ask people, you want to wrap tefillin? Here's some Shabbos candle kit, light tonight, candle lighting at, whatever time it is. But get out there, be a blessing to others. People don't always have the opportunity to study Torah or to have a mitzvah in middle of their day, in middle of the city. Be a blessing. Visit an old age home, a retirement center. Visit shops. When I was in yeshiva in London, for example, I might as well speak about Florida. When I was in yeshiva in South Beach, we used to go to downtown, me and a friend, we used to go to downtown Miami every Friday to the law offices. We had people that we met, men and women, that loved our visits every Friday to share some Torah inspiration. We would come every week with, maybe a printed Torah thing, share some words of Torah, just talk about the week, how's it going, and inspire people for Shabbos. That's what's going on. Well, I remember in London, we used to go to, I went with somebody, it's usually groups of two, we went to Kensington. Anybody familiar with London? High Street, Kensington, I think that's what it was. Persian antique shops. The whole street, Persian Jews with antique shops, with rugs and antiques to inspire. So the point is, and this is something that's really very much a part of the Chabad ethos, is to not just focus on our own growth individually, but care about, and really not just care about, but really take time away from self and dedicate it for others. The last point I want to make today, and we'll close it out after this, is what's going on with the firstborn and the Levites. There's something strange that's going on here. God says, I've taken the Levites to serve in place of the firstborns. And then God says, the firstborns are really mine because I saved them, therefore they kind of owe me, or they should serve me. But instead, I've taken the Levites in their place. What happened? Here's what you need to know. This all goes back to the sin of the golden calf. You know, Moses is on the mountain. Moses is getting the Torah for 40 days and 40 nights. Comes back down, and the Jews had begun worshiping the golden calf. He breaks the tablets. Yeah, hopefully we're all familiar with the story. A very, very dark day. So the entire Jewish nation essentially participated in one way or another in that sin of the golden calf, with the one exception: the tribe of Levi, the Levites. No Levites, the entire tribe, no Levites participated in the sin of the golden calf. Everyone else did, including the firstborns. God said at that point, I'm going to take away this privilege, this opportunity from the firstborns that they earned or got obligated into, however you want to look at it, from the time of the Exodus. So it should have been them, but the sin of the golden calf moved it from them to those that didn't stray from my worship. So it moves from the firstborn to the Levites. Interestingly enough, that's so you know some of the background. There was a point in time where God did maybe we'll read about it here. Hold on. I don't remember where it's discussed. It may be coming up. It may be coming up where the Levites are one for one switched out with the firstborn. In other words, all the firstborn are counted, all the Levites are counted, and the numbers are very close. And so it's kind of a one-for-one trade. A Levite instead of a firstborn. Well, when we get there, I'll point it out. But I want to end with this, with an inspiring note, because that's not so inspiring that they lost their privilege, the firstborn. It's a little bit sad for them. But here's an inspiring note, hopefully. Maimonides writes that it's not just the Levites, the physical Levites, who have an opportunity to serve God and to serve others in a holy capacity. Maimonides says everybody or anybody who wishes to dedicate themselves to holy activities and to being a blessing for others is deemed spiritually to be a Levite. And so that's the final message that I want to share with you today, which is be a Levite. Be a palm tree. Don't just be a cedar. Be a palm tree. Be a Levite. Be dedicated to something meaningful and be a blessing to others, not just focused on self. As Maimonides says, in that way, you are a ceremonial, that ceremonial first pitch at a baseball game. You're a ceremonial Levite. You know how they have like graduates also? Graduates, you get like ceremonial degrees from a university. You get a ceremonial Levite degree if you live this life. All right, so let's recap today. We spoke about, I think, pretty much one theme. We spoke about how Aaron's sons are Moses' children also because he taught them Torah. We spoke about the power of teaching others and the life that gives. We spoke about, I'm sure I'm missing something along the way. We spoke about the palm tree versus cedar tree. Be a blessing. Don't just grow straight. Don't just worry about focus on self-growth. And we spoke about the Levites taking the place of the firstborn and how everyone can be a Levite. So it seems to me, as I kind of recall the major points that I mentioned, that today is all about inspiring others. Moses inspired others. The priests inspired others. The Levites inspired others. You and I should be a blessing. Let's be the palm tree. Be the palm tree. Be the day palm tree that you were meant to be. And let's be a blessing to others, especially in this time when so many are going through difficulty and challenge. It's good to be there for others and be a blessing. All right, that's all I got for today. Tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. I just unmuted everybody, so feel free to say farewell. Bye. Bye, everybody. Tonight 7:30. Tonight 7:30. Yeah. Good to see you. Bye, Ray.
Thank you.
Should be a day of blessing.
Thank
All right.
you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.